briefly about me. This is my 12th year with Oakland School for the Arts. I started here in 2008. Started teaching in 6th grade and bounced around a little bit into 7th grade. I did a little bit of 8th grade. Have taught ELA every year. And there have been some years that I taught social science most years, but mostly I taught 7th grade. And then 3 years ago, I started teaching 6th grade social science. This year, I'm also teaching a high school class, which is exciting. I've also taught in the production design program when I first started here. So if you have a kid in that program, I'm pretty familiar with that. Both of my kids up on this side attended OSA. My son graduated in 2019 from the visual art program. My daughter is currently a sophomore in production design. I got my bachelor's degree in theater, also design production, from the University of California, Santa Cruz. I won't tell you what year. So I do have a background in art. I worked in that field for a long time. I also have a technical background. I worked for George Lucas in Industrial Light and Magic for a while, and also in the technical high-tech field with like Verizon and such companies. So that's a little bit about me.
Oh, you just caught me reading. Hi, my name is Mrs. Farmer, and I'll be teaching 6th grade English and Social Studies this year. I have a BA in Film Studies from San Jose State University, and I got my teaching credential and my master's in Educational Technology from Cal State East Bay. My family lives in Castro Valley, where I am the Leader Support Manager for the Girl Scouts of Chabot Service Unit, and my daughters are in 6th grade and 3rd grade. My older daughter comes to 6th grade at OSA. She's in the theater pathway. I love to read and to write. I love spending time in my garden, and I love movies and television. I have a condition called dyslexia. My brain processes information a little differently than your neurotypical brain. I can't wait to work with your student this year and help support and encourage their love of reading.
For social science, the 6th grade standards are to study the world history, basically early civilizations, early humans, and ancient civilizations. As far as what is covered, we are covering the following.
We will study geography, early humans, early civilizations such as Sumerians, Egyptians, early Judaism, and the Americas. We will learn about China. We will go to India, learn about Hinduism and Buddhism. And we're also going to end the year on Greece, ancient Greece. So the time frame that we're looking at is prehistory through about 100 BCE. As far as grades, 40% is classwork and independent work, 30% is projects and assessments, 15% is maps and timelines, and 15% is vocabulary. We will accept late work with appropriate deductions. Understandably, if there's a legit reason for someone to turn in something late, there will be no or fewer deductions, and if it goes on for a long time, there'll be more deductions than there would be if it's just a day or two late.
The textbook that we use is National Geographic's World History, Ancient Civilizations. We got it last year, so it's a new book for us. The other tool that we use closely is the workbook. In this workbook, we have a whole bunch of stuff from the textbook, as well as the auxiliary materials, as well as from other sources, such as
the Ancient World Content Area Reader. We also pull a few things from our old textbook, Discovering Our Past, Ancient Civilization. This is by Blanco. History Alive, which was the textbook we had way before that.
Every textbook has some advantages, some disadvantages, and we're trying to take the best of each and use that in our class. That's Social Science 6.
The 6th grade English Language Arts class covers such subjects as reading, writing, spelling, grammar and other English conventions, public speaking, and reading comprehension. Students will read novels, short fiction, traditional literature, poetry, nonfiction articles and texts, and excerpts from longer pieces. We'll be teaching the students some strategies to increase their reading comprehension. Students will develop strategies in the following areas: argumentative writing, response to literature and analysis, narrative writing, and informative writing. Listening and speaking strategies are included in this course and are emphasized in class discussions and presentations. In addition, student professionalism is included in all of your students' 6th grade classes. All of the assignments and activities in English 6 will be guided by the California State Standards for English and Language Arts Study. We're also going to be using the social justice standards from teachingtolerance.org to help us with our lessons.
In English Language Arts class, students will be awarded grades using the following weighting: 35% independent classwork and homework, 30% group work, projects, and presentations, 20% writing assignments and Common Core mastery assignments, and 15% participation and student professionalism.
When your student came to OSA to pick up their materials, they probably came home with a big stack of books. Let's take a look at them, shall we? First, this is the teacher edition, but your student should have a text like this. If not, that's okay. We're going to make sure that all of the materials are available electronically from this text. Next, your student should have a copy of the workbook. This is what the front cover looks like. It's a lot thicker than this, though.
There's my Bitmoji. There's Miss Bradburn's Bitmoji. Thanks.
Next, we're going to go through some novels. We're going to go through 2 novels in the first quarter, 1 novel in the second quarter, and then we're going to have more novels later on.
The first novels we're going to read are Boy the Painted Cave and The Watsons Go to Birmingham, 1963. The other books your student probably picked up when they came to pick up their textbooks are The Black Ships Before Troy, The Story of the Iliad, and The Giver by Lois Lowry. These books we're going to read, but a little bit later on.
So school's a little bit different this semester. We've had to make some major changes to our curriculum and modifications to our teaching practices in order to remain safe during the pandemic. Please try to remain patient while we struggle through these drastic changes that we've made to our teaching practices. Our classes will follow the OSA middle school schedule. Your students will be meeting with us at the same time via Zoom twice a week, and then have independent office hours once a week. Sometimes your student might have to show up for those office hours. Students are expected to show up to their Zoom class with their camera on and their microphone off. If there are any concerns regarding technology issues, please make sure to let us know ahead of time. Students need to arrive to the Zoom classroom on time to be marked present, otherwise they will be tardy, and if they are more than 10 minutes late to their Zoom class, they will be marked tardy absent. Students are expected to be present and attentive during the entirety of the lesson. This includes not having other windows open on their computer, not having their cell phone in their hands staring at it, and not wandering away while the Zoom class is happening. Please make sure that when your student is in their English or social science class, that they have some privacy. Unless the student desperately needs some adult supervision during class, please let them have class on their own and not sit over their shoulder and look in at what's going on. We're trying to protect the privacy of all of the other students in the class. They'll all have their cameras on, and they don't need an audience. The most important technology tool that your student will be using this year is a device to access the curriculum. For example, your student can use a Chromebook or a laptop or a desktop computer. Your student can use a tablet or a cell phone. We prefer a Chromebook, laptop, or desktop computer as it makes things easier for students to open additional windows, to type, and to access the curriculum. We will be using software tools such as Google Classroom, Google Slides, Google Docs, Google Forms, and other Google products, including Gmail, and we'll be using some other tech tools that your student may have to learn this year, such as Edpuzzle, Flipgrid, and quizzes. If your student has any problems with any of these technology tools, please encourage them to come to our office hours for their class period, and we can go through best practices with those technology tools.
Okay, so the next thing, wait,
Just real quick, I want to talk about technical difficulties. So we are working in this digital realm almost entirely, and there will be technical difficulties. So if your child is running into any kind of problem, first off, be patient. Check in with me. Let me know what's going on. If there was a reason why they couldn't access the Zoom meeting or other course material, just let me know. We will be fair and reasonable. Know that sometimes Mrs. Farmer and I are going to have our own technical problems. So we're all going to be working together on this, but technical difficulties, just expect them and be patient. Thank you.
Each class period in English and in social science, we will have a little bit of work at the very beginning of the class period. In English class, most often it's going to be a reading log, We encourage your students to be reading at least 20 minutes a day by themselves. They can be reading graphic novels, they can be reading novel texts, or they can be doing audiobooks. We're going to require that the students comment about what they're reading when they fill out their reading log during each class. During social studies class, their bell work, that's the work at the beginning when the bell would be, is going to be something more related to social sciences. One of the reasons we want your student to have their camera on is that way we can see whether or not the student is engaged in the lesson. If your student is stumbling a little bit and not getting all of their work in on time, we want to make sure that we are giving them ownership of their own grades. Please sit down with your student and look at PowerSchool. Give them encouragement. We may be emailing out to parents if the students start falling behind in their coursework.
In my opinion, probably the hardest thing for our sixth graders, as well as for the adults that are working with them, is grades. We may have gotten a form of grades in elementary school, but really this is a big transition for our kids. What Mrs. Farmer and I are doing this year is using something called grade codes. We use grade codes to help basically make sure that our students are held both accountable, but they also are in a position where they can pass the class. So I'm going to show you what you will see on those reports on PowerSchool. If you see on here, we've got grade codes. Of course, we're going to use our standard letter grades. Those get generated by PowerSchool anytime we put a number in to a certain assignments. More often, you're going to see pass. In fact, I believe all the assignments we've done so far, I have scored with a pass. You will also see from time to time EE, which is excellent effort. That's basically the student went above and beyond what I expected. SE means substantial effort. That's A-level work as well. They met expectations. They got the basics done and did good work on that. There's also GE, good effort. You could see that as more like B-level work. However, the score for that is 95%, which if you turn that into a letter grade is actually an A. The reason I do a different number for this is that we've got students learning how to work with grades and learning how to put in the right amount of effort, and I don't want to see their overall grade tank when they're trying and then they're in a learning process. So just bear in mind that a GE qualitatively is about B-level work, but quantitatively is giving them an A. Similar idea with BE, which is basic effort. That's basically C-level work, but they're getting 90%, which is about an A minus. IE means inadequate level effort, and that's D-level work, but they're still getting 85% for that. You might also see SP. That means support was needed, and in this case, it may be resubmitted. So that might be a student who maybe they didn't understand the assignment. They did their best, but they really need to do that again. You might also see incomplete. That's where they did not submit enough work to get full credit. That's 65%. Redo, similar to SP, but there's different reasons for it. They can redo that for full credit, but until it's redone, it's 65%. Absent means that they need to see me. Many times I will turn an absent into an exempt, which is EX, or I may accept that assignment late. So it just kind of depends on the situation for the with the absence, what I will do, whether it's an exempt assignment or whether I'm going to accept it late. And then there is part, which means sometimes we'll do a class activity and a student will fully engage in the activity, but then there's a required deliverable that they don't turn in. So I give them 50% for that, so they get credit for the participation, but until I get that deliverable, it's going to stay at that 50%. That's the grade codes. Now on PowerSchool, if you click on a class, you will get this section description, which repeats all of what you just saw. Just a reminder of what those codes mean. I think this is a great way to make sure that the students are held accountable as well as supported in this learning process. So that's why we're using these grade codes. Happy to have a conversation with you if you need some clarification. I will say that math uses something similar, but not exactly the same. I used something different because it was confusing to the students that we were using the same terms and meant different things. In the end, your child will end up with an A through F grade. I will say this, if you're running into any kind of real struggle with remote learning, that's a modification or an accommodation that I'm willing to do about that final grade. I know all of you want your child to do as well as they possibly can. One of the things I want you to think about will be told in this story. I call it The Tale of a Butterfly. The Tale of a Butterfly. Once a little boy was playing outdoors and found a fascinating caterpillar. He carefully picked it up and took it home to show his mother. He asked his mother if he could keep it, and she said he could, if he would take good care of it. The little boy got a large jar from his mother. He put in plants to eat and a stick to climb on in the jar. Every day he watched the caterpillar and brought it new plants to eat. One day, the caterpillar climbed up the stick and started acting strangely. The boy worriedly called his mother, who came and understood that the caterpillar was creating a chrysalis. The mother explained to the boy how the caterpillar was going to go through a metamorphosis and become a butterfly. The little boy was thrilled to hear about the changes his caterpillar would go through. He watched every day, waiting for the butterfly to emerge. One day, it happened. A small hole appeared in the chrysalis, and the butterfly started to push its way out of the chrysalis. At first, the boy was excited, but soon he became concerned. The butterfly was struggling so hard to get out. It looked like it couldn't break free. It looked desperate. It looked like it was making no progress. The boy was so concerned, he decided to help. He ran to get scissors and then walked back, because he did learn not to run with scissors. He snipped the chrysalis to make the hole bigger, and the butterfly quickly emerged. As the butterfly came out, the boy was surprised. It had a swollen body and small shriveled wings. He continued to watch the butterfly, expecting that at any moment the wings would dry out, enlarge, and expand to support the swollen body. He knew that in time the body would shrink and the butterfly's wings would expand. But neither happened. The butterfly spent the rest of its life crawling around with a swollen body and shriveled wings. It never was able to fly. The boy tried to figure out what had gone wrong. His mother took him to talk to a scientist from a local college. He learned that the butterfly was supposed to struggle. In fact, the butterfly's struggle to push its way through the tiny opening of the chrysalis pushes the fluid out of its body and into its wings. Without the struggle, the butterfly would never, ever fly. The boy's good intentions hurt the butterfly. As your child goes through school, keep in mind that struggling is an important part of any growth experience. In fact, it may be the struggle that helps us to develop our ability to fly. Remember, struggle is good. I love this quote by Patricia Polacco. All children have gifts. Some open them at different times. As you watch the growth and development of your own butterfly, please be patient. Know they are going to struggle. There will be some hard times, and that's okay. It's what we want. We want them in 6th grade, in 7th grade, and in 8th grade to struggle some, so that when they get to high school, when those grades really start to count, that they will be ready and they will have their own tools and their own skills to succeed at that point. So that's just my parenting advice. Take it for what it is. Tale of a butterfly. Thank you. Here quickly are the best ways to connect with me. All right. The number one best way to get in touch with me is via email. I'm very responsive to email, and that is my email address. You might also come to student office hours. You're welcome to be there with your student on Tuesdays and Fridays from 11 a.m. to noon. I'll be there. Happy to meet with parents to talk about whatever. Obviously, if there's other kids in the room, we may need to wait until everyone's done, but office hours are available for parents as well. You can text me. This is my Google Voice number, and we could also have a conversation by phone on that. I will say this, I'm not as on top of these, because it's a Google Voice, as I am with email. So email's preferred, but I will be responsive to text and phone. And then if you really need to have a longer conversation, we can make an appointment and meet by Zoom. Check in with me if you need to meet. Again, email, number one best way to get in touch with me.
If you need to meet with us for any reason, over Zoom or a phone call, those should be scheduled ahead of time via email. Email is definitely the best way to reach both of us. You only need to email your student's teacher. That's either me, Mrs. Farmer, or Miss Bradburn. We check our email Monday through Friday during business hours. You may get an email from us outside of business hours, but it will probably not be before 7 a.m. or after 7 p.m. We try not to do work on the weekends. We both have families at home that we want to spend time with. You may get an email on the weekend, but it will not be a regular occurrence. If you have an urgent need outside of business hours, Monday through Friday, please make sure when you email, you use the word urgent in the subject line, and we will try to get to it as soon as we can. We can't wait to work with you and your students this year.